So we're cleaning out the kitchen compost area. I've shared this with you if you've been around for a while many times. And while we're doing this, you can see the worms. The worms that are in this compost. Look at that. We did have some screw worms, they call, that really helps break down your compost. I don't see any of them right now, but these are the friends that help you break down your kitchen waste and make it wonderful compost for your plants. Now this is going over to our big area. This compost area that's right here, this is the compost that's already composted. And this is the area that we put in that needs to be composted. So this is not completely composted yet. Not completely composted for the year. So we put this here, you know, with the, when we clean out the chicken coop, it also goes here because it's not composted. We let it compost for at least a year, sometimes longer, depending on how it looks. All of this is banana peels, kitchen scraps, and so it goes here until it composts for at least a year. And then when it's composted a year, it's moved over here. And then we use this. When you can see we shoveled here, we just come and shovel what we need. Now it needs to be raked right now. There are some sticks and things that's fallen off when Donald's trimmed that we hadn't got out of here yet. But we do leave some sticks because they're good for drainage. We chop them up really small, leave them in the compost because they help it, drain. So you can see this is composted. This has not. There's always some kind of trash in here because it either blows in or the kids forget where the trash can is. So we're going to wheel this right over. It is full of worms. You can't see them. They've got in out of the sun. They've crawled down to the bottom. We're getting heavy rain today, and we needed it, so I'm glad that it's here. We've already gotten an inch. It sounds good, it looks good, so glad to get it. Well, good morning. It is an absolutely beautiful day. It rained yesterday and the day before that, so we've got quite a bit of rain. Everything's looking well watered and looking really good out here. I'm glad that you're here today. Well, the roses are still looking good. They look a little different than they look when they're out in the sun. But they're still looking beautiful. They're doing great this year. Now, I pruned them last year so that there's not just tons hanging down to the ground like it was last year, but they are still beautiful. Really, really pretty. Such a sight to behold. Truly awesome. Here's this pretty pink climber that's in the front. It has busted out some of the rain. The rain knocked off a lot of the petals, but that's okay. We needed the rain. There's a tree growing up in here that I have got to get in here and get out. It looks like it might be a walnut tree, and that's never good unless you just want a walnut tree because they'll keep other things from growing in your garden. So I'll have to get in there and get that out. But those are beautiful today. We've got one last iris blooming. And then I'll have to cut back all of those irises. Pretty. Over here is the peace rose. It decided it wanted to bust out a bloom right now. Let me get over here and show you this pretty rose. Cream colored with a pink lining around it. This will probably, not this one particular rose, but there'll probably be many roses on it all through the summer. I'll try to catch them for you, show them to you. Isn't that thing pretty? Of course, it's bloomed pretty every year. We've got peonies that are starting to bloom. And Donald got this rose bush planted. This is the color of it. I thought it would be pretty next to the peace. And it came from Home Depot. A proven winner. It's a landscape rose. Doesn't really give you a particular name. But I love the color of it. I thought it was pretty. There's more peonies in the back. Many things that need to be cleaned up. I am walking through that spearmint, so it smells really good. Mint does well around roses. So I've got mint planted at the base of these roses. I've also got some of the raspberries that's popped over here. So I've got to get out here and harvest those. I'll just harvest those whole stems and I'll use them for tea. Still have the shovels out. I don't have all of the composted mulch that the city or the town brought out, and it was free. I've still got it over here. These bird. You see that bird on the hook? With things in his mouth to build a nest. Can you see him? He's right there. A lot of bird activity yesterday and today. So this is the mulch that we've got left. I think we've put out about half of it. And it does kill the grass back a little bit when we let it sit here like this. But that's okay because it bounces right back. And if it doesn't, then it's just a small area for us to scrape and resow a little patch. It's well worth it. So we've still got that left. Everything that we've put that composted mulch on is blooming. Look how pretty that sage looks. The elderberry, Lacy elderberry is trying to come back really hard. I'm thinking maybe this thing didn't get enough water is the reason that part of it died, half of it died. We've got some things we still have to get in here and trim up and clean up. But spring is well underway. Some peonies out here that Sharon gave me. Thank you, Sharon. I'm excited to see these bloom. They've got little buds on them. I think they might be darker than the ones that I've got. Now there's plenty of weeds I see in here I'm going to have to get out. You know, it happens when it rains. You got to get out and keep these cleaned up. This is purple coneflower right here. Got plenty of that coming up this year. That's always welcome. The tea trees are looking good. Everything's looking good this morning. I think that's so pretty. And I cook with this. I love to make a carbonara dish with it. It's just pretty. I love sage as a flavoring. And I love basil as a flavoring. Now over in this corner garden, we're not sure what has kind of scalded these daylily leaves. I don't know if it was a light frost or if it was the heat, but they're a little bit browned. That won't be any trouble to cut it off. It's not that big of a deal, but you can see a little brown on the leaves right there. May have to do a little maintenance on that. This particular garden is really thick this year. You can see it's one of the corner gardens, and then over here is another corner garden. That's the one that has the rose bushes that's blooming. This one has a knockout rose right here. And down here we have a yellow and a red rose. There's honeysuckle out here too. I've got to get out here and clean this part of the yard up. There was big boat pickup, and there are some of the things that we had out here still left out here. So there you go. This from the neighborhood. Someone had them a nice beer and threw their bottle out in my yard. But here's the pretty yellow roses. You can see when they're buds, they are yellow right here. And then they bust out into a little yellow rose. And then they turn into cream as they get older. That's the whole process of that. There was honeysuckle. You can see it on the ground. I had it in one of the roses. I clipped it off, and now I've got to pull out the dead. This is the marshmallow plant, or Rose of Sharon. Some people call it the marshmallow plant. I know there's a different one. It has good herbal qualities. So much to do. Over here is the perennial herb garden. You can see there are things growing in it. This is goldenrod. There's a couple of things of rosemary. There's no signs of my oregano since my husband decided he wanted to clear it out. I'll put you right here for a minute. Throw this can in the recycling. And we'll just go up here and see what we got going on. Well, the comfrey surely needed water because it bounced right back up after that rain. You can see it's looking good. We got some clematis blooming. I'll show them to you because they're hidden. They're hidden behind this Japanese maple. We've got some raspberries over here. And boy, they've got bloom all over them. I have one little granddaughter in particular that loves raspberries. And so I'll be taking some of them off for her. The comfrey patch. Now in here, there are some little trees. I'll have to get out here and pull those up by the roots. These are little red buds. I'll have to put more perennial herbs in that garden this year. All the honeysuckle's blooming. Oh, and we got I'm not sure what this is. We've just always called them outdoor amaryllis. And they are beautiful when they bloom. Look at that. All of these little buds here that you see right here, they'll make these beautiful flowers. I really need to separate that. You've probably already heard me say that for several years, that I need to separate these so that there'll be more of them. They're bulbs. And here's the beautiful honeysuckle. Some of the grandkids were mixing them up, making honeysuckle soup. This is white and yellow together. Oh my goodness. The smell is heavenly. And this is one vine that Donald requested we have on our little property. Such memories of growing up with the honeysuckle. These are the back gardens. This is rabbit droppings, which you can put straight on your garden. One of them's resting block is in here. I have to get that out. And so there's some stuff that we've got to spread around the garden. We are going to put the mulch out, and we're also going to put some of that leaf mulch in here. But we are also going to incorporate this rabbit droppings because it adds such great biomes, such great wonderful things into the soil, and it'll help growth. So we're doing that. My garden is shaded in the morning. It gets more evening sun. You can see the sun is coming up from this back side of the house. And it gets enough sun. It gets enough to produce. But we haven't got anything planted in the garden yet. There are so many things that I just have not gotten done. The things that have gotten away from me. This is the wheelbarrow that I plant every year. I usually cut back this wisteria. And you can see there's some pennyroyal. And there's some hosta coming back from last year that I planted in this wheelbarrow. So I'll be in here cleaning this out. I'll cut this wisteria back so that you can see the wheelbarrow. When you come up the steps, I usually like to have something spilling out and maybe something growing in the pot. So it looks like it's spilling out of the wheelbarrow and it's took root into the pot. Now I've showed you this area before. This is our compost area. We have the broke down compost over here. We have the new compost over there. And we've just broken down this little kitchen house compost container that we have right here at the end of the deck. we've broken that down and taken all the compost out. Here it is, and I've got pictures of the beautiful worms that came out of this compost. We usually let it get a year or two older. Well, here is our deck, and our deck is in really bad shape. We've got all the use that we can get out of it. Right here's where the compost used to be. We got it all moved because we need a new deck. Our deck has just saw the end of its time. So we're going to be replacing that and getting a new deck soon, and I'll show you some things of that. And we have moved the kitchen compost over here, which means I won't be able to just stand on the deck and throw the compost in. It'll be a little more inconvenient to walk over here and put the compost in, but it's going to be fine because it'll all be worth it in the end, and it's not that far. But when you have a handicapped child that you care for, and you have a lot going on, so if you got stuff cooking on the stove and stuff, it's a whole lot easier to come out that door and just throw your compost where the compost bin was right here than it is to have to come over, not a long way, but quite a step. So I'll just be using my compost containers that I've got in the house until they get full, and then I'll bring them out here and empty them in the little kitchen compost bin that we have right here. And it will be easier in other ways. I'll be able to take some of the compost out of the garden and also add it into this bin. So it's not a big problem. It's just a little bit of a change. Moved it from the deck over here. Look at the blackberries. Goodness gracious. And I've saw them all over the highway too. You know, me and Donald forage, so there's some places we can go back in and pick blackberries. So I'm looking forward to those. Look how pretty. Going to have some blackberries this year. This bramble's looking good. It's right here beside of what we call our big garden. It is in by no means big. Say like some people have a huge garden. We're on a small little lot in a town, and this is what we call our big garden. But we grow quite a bit of food from our big garden. I still hadn't got to put all of my cardboard out. We did get this back here. This cardboard came from the potting shed that we bought. We saved the cardboard and we laid it right here. Now here are elderberry. They're trying to come up right here at our fence. And of course we don't need elderberry in our garden. So I'll be pulling all of that elderberry, or digging it up actually. And then the elderberry that's on the edge of the garden is still here. So that's what we're doing. We're just getting around, not rushing, no big deals. Trying to, oh my goodness, this is white clover tea. I love white clover. I love red clover, but I also love white clover. It smells so good. In fact, they actually use white clover to make perfumes. It's an additive that goes into the perfumes, but I sure do enjoy it. I might have to get my basket. It's blooming. Might have to get it out here and pick some white clover to add to tea. There's plenty of it, and I'll have to get it before Donald mows. He'll be mowing soon, and then it'll all be gone. So I might get a little bowl or basket and harvest some white clover tea. Now here's our little, what we call our little garden. Because it's smaller than the one down there, and we grow different things here. We pulled up weeds and got it ready. I'm gonna have to get a weed stick to get this up. That's wild lettuce, and over here is, that is raspberries, wild raspberries. There's some morning glories. I haven't put any cardboard on this garden yet. The cardboard just helps keep out weeds. We have to get out sticks and get plenty of things going. This is the weed, the most noxious weed that I have. The one that goes everywhere. We call it crabgrass. I think some people call it Bermuda grass. I'm not sure what it's called. But I'll have to get out here and get my little weed digger and get some of these small weeds. Here's some of my plant markers from last year. I am round to the front. I just walked through the house because I had to change my boots. These are my front yard boots, and then the backyard boots are separately. So we're out here. We got more rain yesterday. Let's see how much we have in total. Three-fourths of an inch. Seemed like it rained more than that. So that's about an inch and 3/4 in a couple of days. So we've had plenty of rain. That's good. We need the rain. Hear the birds singing. They're singing more in the front yard than they are in the backyard. Beautiful blue clear sky today. Woke up and it was a little cloudy. Still so many things to be done. Enjoying these roses. I see the lamb's ears coming back good, and the lemon balm. Peonies have opened up a little bit bigger today. The rhododendron that I bought, I haven't got it planted yet. The blooms are going off on it, and look at all the new growth. Look how much new growth are on these rhododendrons. Got some starts out here. Making sure I'm keeping these watered. I've got to clean these up a little bit. Trying to keep them watered good until I get them in the places where they need to be. I think they can use some water today. Excuse me, always sneezing when I get out in the sun, first thing in the sun. These are Fiskars. It's a 2-piece set. I got this at Home Depot. They were on sale. me get in here and see if I can get these. This tree I was telling you about might have to take 2 hands to get this. I'll have to go down to the ground. I'll have to follow this tree and get this thing cut out of this rose bush. It felt like it could just grow right in here. Might be a little bit of a wrestling match. Now these are the kind of weeds that we're very careful about. As you can see, there's a lot of growth down here at the bottom. And to make the most out of it, we have to cut this tree that we don't want in our roses. We have to cut that. Well, we're not going to go in and just start cutting down at the bottom. We'll have to work our way down to it, because there's a rule. You never stick your hands or your feet anywhere you can't see in our area, because we have poisonous snake varieties, venomous snakes that can cause you a lot of trouble. We have the copperheads. That's mainly what's in our area. My daughter had one on her steps, and we just have them where you're not going to put your hands and stuff. So I've never found one on our property. We've had black snakes and a few things like that, but never a copperhead, thank God. We try to keep things moving so that we don't have those. But as you can see how thick it is right down in here, if you were to stick your hand down in there, you don't know what is down in there. So we just clean this gently back with the things that we don't want to grow. We start at the top and work down to the bottom. And we're always keeping our eyes out for things in our garden that could be very, very dangerous to us while we're enjoying our garden, right? Beautiful, beautiful to be trimming around these pretty roses and things this morning. So these are the weeds that I needed to get out. You can see right here we had a tree trying to grow up in there. We'll have to get that thing down at the root. You can't spray it, because if you sprayed it, it would affect the beautiful flowers that you want to keep. So we are doing everything that we can to start in to get what we don't want out and to leave what we do want in. Now we just have the one little iris still blooming. Our iris season is over for this plant, so I'll be taking off a lot of the dead blooms that are gone. They're finished flowering, and I'll just go ahead and start taking those off and throwing them on and cleaning them up a little bit. They'll look much, much better when they have all of the no longer useful parts all over this iris. I love the leaves of an iris. I think they're very unique, very pretty, look great in the garden, add a different form to it. I want to get more irises. I thinned them out last year. I gave my friends, I had an older friend, she was in her 90s. You might have remembered me talking about Lena. She was a neighbor up the street for a very long time, and she gave me white irises. So here is the only clump I have left of that. They were here a lot. I decided I wanted more color, but I did keep a few clumps just to remember her, because she had given them to me, and I do like them in the garden. I'm just making sure I add plenty of color this year into my garden. I love to see a monochromatic garden in somebody else's garden. But I am a person of variety. I have probably shared that with you before. Variety means so much, especially in a small place. In a small place, a lot of people tend to use one color monochromatic scheme because it just makes the garden feel bigger, and it just kind of simplifies it. But that's not my style. I love a variety. I'm enjoying the roses right now. Now, the first stage of blooming in my garden are the wisteria and the red buds. That's the first stage of gardening that I have. And then here I have tulips and other things that are early bloomers. They bloom in the spring. Of course, this iris was just covered this year. It looked great. But you can see the roses are actually the second phase of blooming that I have on this side of the house. The roses and honeysuckle and the outdoor amaryllis is what I call it. I'm not even sure what it is. Let me see if I can get this pin oak tree. No, I can't get it out of the garden. I can't pull it up. So I just have to cut it off and keep cutting it off until it doesn't come back. But this is the beautiful amaryllis. It's pretty. I used to have tons of these, a whole front garden full. But then I didn't want just one thing. So I gave most of them away, kept a few of them here which need to be divided. And then we have the roses on this side of the house, and we have the honeysuckle, which my husband really enjoys. It's one of his favorite flowers from growing up, and it smells beautiful. That honeysuckle bush here smells delicious. But usually the first beauty that I have on this side of the house are the two red buds that I have right here, and then that beautiful wisteria. I didn't even think we were going to have any seeds on this red bud, because this red bud it came out and bloomed beautifully, and then it got bit back the next day, which means all of the blooms turned kind of brownish and fell off. So we didn't have a lot of red bud blooms this year. I didn't even have enough to make jelly. Thank goodness I made plenty of jelly last year from the Bounty. And here is the wisteria. My husband cut that back. He pruned that back so severely that it didn't bloom this year. Well, it bloomed, but it bloomed over on the neighbor's side so that we didn't see it. And that's why I'm telling you got to leave some new canes on this wisteria so we can have blooms. I'll include a couple of pictures of when it did bloom, how beautiful it was when it did bloom. We do keep this here for the beauty and also for the privacy. This leads so much privacy. Now we're having to redo some things. I'm going to restack these rocks this season soon. And in the gate where the compost pile is, we of course have to trim off the honeysuckle and the wisteria so that we can get in and out of this gate really easily. Look at that humongous wild lettuce. Right here's wild lettuce. That makes an excellent pain medication, herbal pain medication. So if you want to go all natural, that is awesome. And that one is about every bit of 3 feet growing in there. I'll go in and take some of those out. I'll have to restock these rocks this year. I don't have them glued or cemented down in any way, mortared down in any way. I'll just free stack them. And when we have a real rainy season, you can see the dirt is washed away. And I'm going to have to redo these rocks. So it's beautiful. Now down here on the bottom, I have a mold and you take that mold and you can take concrete or cement and you can make your own walking stones. So that's what I did here. Now you can tell these walking stones have been here for a very long time. I want to say at least 15 years or more. It easily gets muddy when you have a little slope. There's a little slope here. So it stayed muddy coming and going out of the gate. And we used to have a dog, and he was a German Shepherd, so when he ran down to the gate, he could really keep a path beaten down. But before that, we had other big dogs. We had a Rottweiler, and we've had several, an Australian Shepherd, just really active dogs. So we've all decided that, me and Donald decided that we would have to make a pathway here into our little area, where our little gate, where our compost pile is kept, and it's the start of our garden. Now, when we first moved here, I've shared with you the pictures of the house that we moved here. It was just a house and very little of anything else, just really a lot of red clay and a sparse amount of grass. It did not have what it has on it now. Now, Donald trimmed this red bud severely back, and he hasn't decided whether he's going to leave that red bud here in this garden or not. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But going back to the path here, the path that I poured from a mold, I think I like this style so much better than I do those blocks, especially over at the potting shed. So I think I'm going to take this idea and I'm going to make rocks, cement stones, and I'm going to put them over, not these, but I'm going to make some over where the potting shed is. To me, it looks just so much natural. I love the natural stone. I am not unlimited on those. I picked these, we bought some, and then I picked some up on my dad's farm before he passed away, and then I picked some up at my sister's, my family's house. They have such beautiful rocks, and so when I go up there, sometimes they blow the mountain kind of to make the road wider where they live, and then when they do that, there's a tremendous amount of stones you can pick up on their property. So that's where most of these came from. You can see some of the really round ones probably came out of the river, but not, we didn't take them out of the river. They were on their property, but somehow they got up there, the really round ones like this. And then they have such beautiful colored stones. I'll take you with me the next time I go and pick up stones at their house. My daughter-in-law was wanting a cut of wisteria to put on the trellis, so right there's a perfect one. I can dig that up for her because I certainly don't need two on this side. And I'll pop that up and give it to her so she can make her trellis. And she loves the beautiful wisteria that grow on them when you don't cut them back all the time. My husband, he likes a formal garden. Look at that little feather. How pretty is that? So he has no problem just chopping. If I don't stop him, I'll have just a nub in the ground. Well, here, I started these stones. This is kind of a shady spot here in our yard. It's right in the front, but it's over to the side. Well, this is a perfect place if you have plants that need extra attention. Say if you have some plants that just need to be out of the direct sun and be tended to. This is an excellent place right here to bring them. Right here in this little shady area. And I knew that the potting shed would eventually come one day, so I just started buying stones. And, well, I park right here. Right here is where I park my car. And so I could easily unload those stones and just start making a path. But because I only bought like 3 or 4 at a time, when I got them out of the car, I just plopped them down. There was nothing over here. So there wasn't any reason that I needed to be really careful or intentional about how I placed these stones, because I really didn't know the size of the potting shed. I didn't, I didn't have a plan worked up. I knew the shape of it and where it needed to fit, but as far as just really planning the path, I did not do that. I needed a meandering path that kind of just meandered up to it. I didn't want anything geometrically straight and rigid, just kind of like a natural path. Well, of course, I'm not going to succeed in this small space with these kind of pavers, but they served a purpose while we were planning and getting ready for the potting shed. Well, so what I'm going been outside allergies, so I thought I'm going to pick up those pavers that I purchased at Home Depot. They served their purpose, and I'm going to put them in the backyard, and wherever when they start the new deck and we get that rebuilt, I'm going to just make a little place right in front of the steps, wherever the steps are built. So I'm going to stack those pavers that I have that are going to the potting shed. I'm going to stack them in the backyard and use them at a later date for a different purpose. And I'm going to get some forms, and I'm going to make a more casual stone-like path, more like what's going in our gate over here, going to the potting shed, so that won't be too much trouble. Well, I'm having a scratchy throat. I'm going to get off of here, and I'm going to get off of our subject of the garden gates, and I'm going to go ahead and enjoy a cup of Harney & Sons tea to soothe my throat. And actually, this is the hot apple spice. This is the bulk because I do love the hot apple spice. I have a little tin that I refill from Harney & Sons with the hot apple spice, but sometimes I just go right ahead and put it out of the bag because it's just simpler. It's one less step, and I drink enough of it that I can buy it in bulk. Did you know Harney & Sons had bulk teas? They're master tea blenders, and they're one of the best teas that you can buy. They're so pleasant. You can visit their website. I have a link down below, and it might save you some money. I think it might save you 10% if you buy through the link down below. But it is really good tea. Look on their website. They have wonderful things. Now, I'm going to do a real quick video, not long, coming up shortly, because Mother's Day is just a little over a week away, and I know if you're like me, you may have procrastinated, and you might need some ideas. So I'm going to share some ideas with you that your mother might love in a budget-friendly category, and I'll show you some things that I would love to get for Mother's Day, and I'll just share them with you, and you might want to buy them for your mother or a friend or whoever is in your life that takes that space in your heart. So I'll be sharing that with you soon. I'm going to make this cup of tea. Of course, I've spent a lot of time outside in the garden because it's so much to do at this time of the year. It's just a tremendous amount to get done. I try to keep it as simple as I can, but it seems like every year it just gets bigger and bigger. The whole taking care of the garden and everything, and when I do that, my house really suffers because I've not put the time into the house that I usually do. So I'll have to catch up on that this weekend and try to get more of the garden stuff done. But I want to bring you along with me in whatever we decide to do. I thank you for joining me today here at Much Ado About Something. I'm glad that you're here. I asked that you subscribe, like, hype, and share a video or two with your friends if you think they might like it. My channel is Lifestyle Budget Friendly Home and Garden, and I'm glad that you're here. Like always, until next time.